started. We're recording this, so anyone that comes in late, I can send them the recording, but just wanted to say hello. My name is Kelly McGrath. I'm a peace building lawyer and a mediator, and my firm is Kelly McGrath Law, and I really focus on mediation, specifically divorce mediation, because I think it's really the best way to transform the relationship. And for most people, they do not need to have a court battle. So I really believe this takes the pain out of a painful process. So yeah, and I just do want to acknowledge before we start that depth of pain, because it's not just a process where we divide assets or property or finances or make sure that the kids have a parenting plan that works, but it's also a broken attachment and a severing of the bonds of trust and support. And it's a really hard time. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge that first. And the method that you use to legally create that separation and that transformed relationship can make a difference in the amount of pain or support and care that you have. So I believe in mediation, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. But like I said, I'm Kelly McGrath. I'm a mediator. I've been a mediator since 2009. I also founded my community's conflict resolution team. We have our own team of mediators in my neighborhood, which is the Miccosukee Land Co-op for people who live in Tallahassee. I also founded the Florida Restorative Justice Association, which is a statewide nonprofit that helps people who have been harmed talk directly to the person that harmed them and then create agreements that make things as right as possible. So this is definitely my passion and my first love. We prepare people for and guide them through the most challenging conversations of their lives so they feel supported and ready to go into that conversation with that other person and then have success and effectively create agreements that work for them. So let's get started. So I do want to acknowledge your pain again, and just know that you're having whatever responses you're having right now are going to be a temporary response to your trauma. So if you are finding yourself like extremely tired or racing thoughts or maybe shallow breath, just know that's part of this trauma response that you're having. And there's things that you can do to help manage that. So taking care of yourself emotionally or physically, and there's some ideas there, making sure that your body has the right fuel for it, being aware of and curbing numbing behavior. So if you notice that you are coming home from work and you're just watching 6 hours of TV or scrolling through Facebook, or maybe buying a bottle of wine every night, just know that those behaviors they're numbing your pain, but they're not helping you move through it. So and don't judge yourself about it. Just be aware of it and try to make choices that are going to help support you through this process. Seeking counseling or a divorce coach who's a counselor that specializes in the divorce process. That's a good idea for anyone to do going through this process, and choosing a method of divorce that's going to support you. So divorce, we normally think of divorce like going to court. You both have attorneys, and it's a contentious adversarial process. You are both pitted against each other. So you're continuing that fight, and you're really only thinking about yourself and not the other person or their needs. And really, for the children, this is the worst way to divorce because they see you and they know that you're continuing to fight. And for children, depending on the age, they have different expressions of their grief and their trauma. They see you going through this battle. They might want to try to be perfect so that they think that it's their fault, or they might try to pick one side or the other, or just feel conflicted about that. So it's really damaging to the children to have a court battle to resolve these issues, and it's not needed. For the most part, you can have your own legal advice at mediation if you want to. You can hire an attorney to help you just for the mediation, or to help you look at the agreement that you craft later. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But also the uncertain outcome. So the judge is making the decision for you. You're not making the decision. And that decision could be against what your interests are. It just depends on the judge that you get. And then there's an uncertain time commitment, and also a time commitment where you are tied to a court schedule. So you don't have the freedom to pick your own schedule for this. You are tied to that schedule until that process is over. And that process takes a long time. So if you go to court and you pick attorneys and go to court and fight your soon to be ex-spouse, you are looking at a period of discovery. So that's a period of time where the attorneys want to take depositions from you or other people close to you. They want to write interrogatories. So that's questions. They need to gather documents, and then they need time to review all of those documents. That's one phase. Then there's a pre-conference, pre-trial settlement phase where they try to talk to the other attorney. And then there's the actual trial. So it can take several months, over a year, to complete this trial. And there's an uncertain cost. So attorneys typically charge an hourly rate for litigation, and also they will make you give a big retainer up front, and then they will take that hourly rate from that. And you don't have any control over how much this is going to cost, because they will just keep charging you until they complete the process. And then, like I said before, you're tied to a court schedule. That's not taking the pain out of the process. That's adding it to the process. So mediation is really a no battle process. You have a neutral person who's a trained facilitator, the mediator, that works with both of the parties. They're not for one side or the other, and they help you prepare for that upcoming communication, that upcoming mediation, where you both are in the room and you craft an agreement that handles all the issues that you need to handle for your divorce, which are property issues and your assets, money issues, and then the parenting plan for your children. So all the important issues the mediator will help you think about, and then you co-create an agreement that works for you and your spouse and your children, knowing everything about your own situation. So you can craft creative agreements that go beyond what the court would allow. You can tweak the agreement. You can choose to come back and alter the agreement in a way that doesn't involve the court. So, and then you take this agreement, that's called the marital settlement agreement. You create that in the mediation, during the mediation with your spouse, and you take that and you file that with the petition for dissolution of marriage, which is the document that has all the other general information, your names and your address and where you got married and your financial information. And that document goes with the marital settlement agreement. You file both of those, and that is your petition for your divorce or dissolution of marriage in Florida, it's called. And then that starts the process. And then you wait until you get a court date, and then you show up and that judge signs off on that agreement. Okay, you've agreed on all the issues. You are now divorced. When you mediate, that process could take as little as 3 months. So here's some things to look at when you're trying to pick a good mediator for yourself. So you want them to have training in all three of these: trauma, communication, and mindset. You want someone that has training in trauma, because you're going through a very scary, could be, and sad time, and you have responses that are coming up, and that has to do with the chemicals in your brain. And you want someone that understands those fight, flight, or freeze responses and knows how to help you build strategies into your day, into your moment, that will help you show up in alignment with your values. And then you want someone that has communication skills, because that's part of the mediator's main role, is to help empower the parties and facilitate communication during this agreement crafting process. And then mindset, you want someone that understands mindset so that you can get into the right frame of mind, into a collaborative mindset. Even if you're angry or sad, you can become forward looking. So you're looking at your future and not looking back at the fights and the things that happened. I think it's important for mediators to meet with each client prior to the mediation. That allows that person to have the experience of being fully heard. And it also allows the mediator to go over all of the issues that they're going to talk about when they're together in the mediation, and find out what your hopes and dreams are and your vision for the future. Find out what your tender spots are. Find out where that person thinks the challenges are going to come come from the other person, taking some needs guesses. So it really sets up the mediator to have this full picture of both of the parties and go into the mediation knowing right away, here's 4 areas that the couple agrees on. Here's some tender spots. Here's how I need to make sure that I help facilitate the communication so that they have the best possible experience. And then I think that it's important to keep the parties together as much as possible. And that's very important if they have children together. So what I want to see is people that are going from a married couple turning into co-parents, not exes that has a bitterness and a connotation to it, but becoming co-parents. So I think it's important to keep the parties together because they're going to have to resolve problems with their children until the children are grown. So I think it's important to allow the parties to have a separate space. A caucus means that the mediator will separate them into separate rooms, and then the mediator will go back and forth to each party. Now that is important because you want the mediator to have time to check in with the party, see how it is going for them, see if there's any needs that are coming up, any issues that need to be talked about in private. That's a private conversation with the mediator and the party. But for the most part, you need to be working together, and the mediator can help you foster that new co-parent relationship. And then I think a debrief is important because it helps you really understand what you went through at the mediation, how it was for you, what were the challenges there, what were the strengths that you saw that you showed up. And the mediator can say, oh, when he said this, I noticed that you said that, and that is in alignment with your values that we talked about earlier. And it helps go through the agreement and really ground that agreement so that both parties have a better chance of honoring that agreement. And then I think it's very wise for a mediator to have a flat fee because a flat fee provides certainty. And that's not an hourly rate. That's like, you pay this much money and we meet this many times and we're done. You have certainty. You don't have to keep worrying like, oh my gosh, how much is this going to cost me? So I think those things help take the pain out of this process for sure. So you craft the agreement that works for your family. And the mediator is there to support that communication. And if the other party starts raising their voice or name calling or using a evaluative language, then that's the mediator's job to go ahead and help calm that down. And then saves money. So we talked a little bit about the hourly rate of the attorneys when they have a litigation. They're normally in an hourly rate. Lawyer.com notes this year that the average divorce case that is litigated in court costs $11,000 per person. So mediation can be 5 to 10 times cheaper than that. So it's really saves you a lot of money and of course saves you time. And one thing I do want to bring up is that you can hire an attorney to go to mediation with you. That's called limited scope representation. And there's many attorneys here in town and all over the country that are well aware of people needing just that little bit of support during mediation and understanding that they need legal advice. So the mediator, like I said before, is a neutral person that helps you with your communication, your mindset, and understanding the trauma. They are not allowed to give you legal advice. So I'm an attorney, but if I have my mediator hat on, I don't give legal advice. So if you feel like you need legal advice, you can get an attorney to come to that mediation with you, or you can pay an attorney to review your marital settlement agreement before it's signed. So those are things that can protect you and save you some time. And that is really all I have. It's a very supportive and caring process where the mediator will go over all of the issues that you need to have handled to separate your lives. And you have the support of a person who understands the divorce process and also understands communication and mindset and trauma. So you're right there working with your spouse to separate everything in your life in a process that's collaborative, peaceful, and you can look back after you've done this process and feel proud that you showed up in a way that's in alignment with your values. So I just want to say thank you so much. I know this was short. So if anyone has any questions, be happy to open it up for questions. Also, if you need anything from me, you can call me at my office. My number is 850-273-8698. And we can set up a free consultation just to talk about your issues and whatever you need. I am there. So does anyone have any questions? Okay. Well, I'm so happy that I got this moment to talk to you, and I will send this. I'm going to send everyone a guide that's going to cover all the issues that we talked about, a free guide. So use that as a resource and please pass it to your friends and let me know if there's any way I can support you during this really challenging time. Thanks so much. Bye now.